when the music stops. Right here on Radio Radio. He made me say it twice. This is when the music stops. Stop.
All right, yo, welcome to Rated R Radio. It's your boy DJ Rated R in here chilling with my man Ken Phise.
We all the way up
right here on When the Music Stops. And man, we was up in here talking about different things that's been going on, you know what I'm saying, when the music stops, and one that has been going on right now. Snoop Doggy Dogg is in the news for making some controversial comments about not wanting to hear or not wanting to see no more slave movies, or as he called them, slave movies, or really movies about black people being oppressed. Movies such as the new Roots that's come out, or The Help, or 12 Years a Slave, or Django, or any other movie that has come out and showed us in an oppressed nature. And my thing here is I understand where Snoop is coming from. When it comes to black movies being made, we only get so many movies a year that we get to see, or TV shows. You only get so many on TV because it's dominated by other cultures. And so when we do get a chance to see ourselves on the big movie screen or on television, he would rather it not be us in those slave roles. He would rather it be us in a different type of character or light. And so, you know, I felt where he was coming from, but you, on the other hand, you had a different point of view on this, especially when it comes to Roots.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I had a different point of view. I felt like, excuse me, Roots is on a whole nother level. I felt like, you know what I'm saying, Roots isn't like, oh, I'm going to the box office, I'm trying to get a couple bucks, you know what I'm saying, I'm trying to make a couple dollars off some people. Don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure some money was made. Ain't nothing done for free.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, but Roots was just, you know, it came to TV. You know, it's kind of like when I was in school, I saw it in class.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not like, oh, go pay your $10 and go to the show, that type of deal. So, I mean, Roots for me was kind of like information. You know what I'm saying? It was, I understand his point of view where, okay, I want to see what happened. I want to see about that life before Kunta Kinte was taken from his homeland, you know,
right?
You know, when he was a Mandinka warrior,
right?
You know what I'm saying? I want to hear more about that life. Totally understand it.
Before, so you would like to see maybe before he was taken.
I would like to see more before he was taken. You know, his father's background. You know, his father's story. You know, before we get into Kunta Kinte being taken from his land and being brought over to Virginia, and you know, things of that nature. I totally get it, but at the same point, it's like, you know, I mean, somebody has to learn about, okay, this is the start of your existence or your ancestors' existence in America. So, I mean, yes, we would like to know before America, but, you know, we can't just not include or not be informed about what happened, you know, how we got to America.
How we got here, right.
You know what I'm saying? So we can't say, oh, this is how it was over in, you know, in Africa, and then, you know, somebody's gonna ask the question, well, what we doing over here? What we doing in America? Then you got to tell that next piece of the story. This is what happened, and so on and so forth.
And that's what Roots. You feel that's what Roots. Oh, I said Roots. That's what Roots brings to the scene. It like more so tells the ancestral history of how we got here. So I mean, yeah, I think Roots is definitely needed. I think it is needed. I think it is a part of our culture. It is something that should be shown in school. I think children of all races, not just for blacks but for whites, because I do think, you know, we're living in a generation where a lot of people are looking to be, look to be blinded to certain things, and they would like to eradicate slavery from our history. So, you know, just showing and allowing kids to understand, hey, this is what happened back then, to help explain why certain black people are in bondage now. I do think Roots can help out in that way. But for the most part, hey man, keep the movies coming. I would like to see more Spike Lee type movies, more Do the Right Things. Hey, you know, to me, you can't have the flowers without the thorns, man. And the thing here is, certain movies I do have guilty pleasures about. I need a new Jack City, man. I need a new Jack City 2016, 2017, man. I need some violence in my life. You know, yeah, we got the Roots movies, we got the Django's, and we got the 12 Years a Slave, and it's like, yeah, but I also want the street corner movies, man. When we was younger, you know, they had Menace to Society and all those movies. We was too young to go to the movies to see that. Yeah, so it's like
you only saw them once they came to the house. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, on tape, VHS.
I will tell you, you know what I'm saying? That Money and Violence, that series, not a movie, but it is a movie. It's like a series. I would definitely suggest checking out. You know. They got 2 seasons down. I'm trying to tell you, I've been hooked like it ain't nothing. I can't really explain it well enough for people to check it out, but once you check it out, I guarantee you, you know what I'm saying, you'll be hooked. I mean, it gives you more than some of those movies back in the day. Some of those movies back in the day was just like straight up violence and it was just, you know what I'm saying, some hood nonsense.
Right.
You know, some everyday life, but that Money and Violence gave you some yin and some yang. It gave you some, all right, you know, you could do this, and these are some of the consequences, and you know, and it give you some, all right, I did the wrong thing, and now I'm down a bad path. Gives you the left and the right of things. You know what I'm saying? So I would definitely suggest checking that out.
All right, people. Well, hey, man, from Roots to Money and Violence. That's how we do it right here on Radio.
Some of everything.
Yes, the yin and the yang. And coming up next, we got a school teacher from Indianapolis that will be calling in to give her point of view more so on the whole idea of slave movies and those movies being shown in schools and teaching these kids that and letting them know it's a part of their history. So that and much, much more coming up right here on Rated R Radio.
This is when the music stops. Right here on Rated R Radio. Rated R Radio. Rated R Radio.
Yes. Thank you for tuning in to Rated R Radio. And we are back. We've been talking about the Roots and the comments made about there being too many slave movies out. And right now on the line, I have a teacher of a junior high school combined here in Indianapolis. Her name's Ebony, and she had some very interesting thoughts earlier, and I wanted to bring her on the show to share those with my listeners. So good afternoon, Ebony.
Good afternoon. Hello, all the listening audience. Hope y'all feeling good.
Oh yeah, man. Everybody's great. So again, I just want to know what was your take on the idea of there being too many movies made about slavery out there?
Okay, here's my take. I watched the Roland Martin show, and I watched his as he actually called it, a rant. And being an educator, I do believe it could go both ways. And I say that because we have to be, we need to educate the youth. Young people need to know that we were once enslaved. Not slaves, there is a difference. We were never slaves. We were enslaved. There is a big difference. So in saying that, we should have that historical context. Young people need to know that we were once enslaved. That's something that we cannot deny. It's not our history, it's American history. So that's a big piece in and of itself, that it's American history. But being a teacher, my students personally, we have a demographic of at least 90 to 95% students of color. And a big portion of my students are black students, poor black students. And most of them, just in my experience, have never heard of slavery. They don't believe that it existed, as if it's mythical.
Like a folk tale.
They have heard of slavery, but it's been, as one of my friends actually pointed out yesterday, that it's been so watered down that it's not something, it wasn't so brutal to them to where it has made a major impact. So it could go twofold. We need to educate young people on slavery, but it needs to be educated responsibly. And I say that because we had Roots, and if you really actually watched Roots, there's a lot that is said in the new roots that was actually said in the original, such as Christianity being bestowed upon us and it not being our original religion, such as the fact that Islam, a lot of our people that were enslaved were Muslims. Now it has been argued, of course, that we were also bought and sold by Muslims as well. So that's another story for another time. But the point is that there's a lot of things in the new roots that actually was in the original roots. So I did want to also debunk the fact that they're just portraying something that's totally new and falsified and things like that. But we've had shows like Roots. We've had other shows in the past that have made an impact because we saw them. I saw it, our parents saw it, and it made an impact. And it also let us see the truth. So not just the fact that we were forced into slavery, that, we were, quote unquote, weakened and, we were brainwashed and things like that. But we had the Kunta Kintes that actually stood up that said, no, I'm not a slave. Just like Underground. I love Underground because they constantly reiterate that narrative that, no, I am not a slave. So that's responsible to me. That's teaching it and educating young people responsibly. But it can go another way to where we're not showing the truth, or we're kind of whitewashing it so that it's not as brutal, so that it looks more like folklore or fairy tale versus the truth. This is what really happened, where we're not telling the stories to young people about the pregnant women being hooked by the roofs of their mouths and their babies cut out of their belly, just to prove a point, those types of stories. So, like I said, it should be done responsibly, but the story should still be told. But I like to tell it from a standpoint to my students that, not to say that, hey, look, we used to be slaves at one time, but no, we were enslaved, and this is why we are in the state that we are today. That's the context that I presented to my students.
Oh, okay. So you do think it is important that this is taught in school and this is taught to the students?
Most definitely. And now, as far as because what you're talking about is called cultural, basically a cultural responsible curriculum, where you infuse those aspects of culture and you're mindful of the people that you're teaching and infuse that into the curriculum. Now, where that could be dangerous is who's actually telling the story. Right. Who's the moderator of the story? Who's the person that's actually, because if you get that information into the wrong hands, because teachers are powerful, very powerful. So you get that information into the wrong hands, or you tell someone, yeah, we need to be introducing this in schools, and you get that into the hands of someone who disagrees. Who knows what can happen with that?
Right.
So I do think if you are an educator and you know that this is something that should be addressed among our young people, and you are allowed to do it, because some schools actually don't allow you to do it. I'm just blessed to be at one that does.
Right.
Then by all means do it. But should it be enforced? Now that could be a loaded question, because then you can have some people who are now forced to actually tell this truth, and it may make them uncomfortable. And then who knows where those dialogues can go. So, but like I said, from my standpoint, I use it as an opportunity to teach on how it has affected us today, and not to teach that you were once enslaved as a people and leave it at that.
Okay, that's a good way of looking at it there. It's a good way of looking at that, and just to help explain why we are where we are today and why we need to do better to get us up out of this certain mentalities that do go on nowadays.
Right.
Yeah. So hey, that's a really good way of looking at that, and I want to get that point of view from a teacher, someone who is teaching our youth, someone like you said, if this information gets into the wrong hands, it could be misused. So it is important that people like you and others, no matter what race or culture you come from, it's important that you tell the truth and tell the whole story and let the students know what's going on. So yeah, okay.
And you hit if I can add, you hit a good point. The whole story should be told, not just that one part of of the history of America, but the whole story. Right. Has to be told. And but not only that, just going back to Roland Martin and Snoop in Hollywood, there are several movies out that portray black people in positive roles. Mm-hmm. The only problem is, like Roland Martin said, is that we're begging for the role versus paying for the production and paying, although we actually are starting to now. So I can't wait to see Birth of a Nation.
Right.
That's black funded, produced, right. So, but it's Snoop, you got millions of dollars. A lot of people with bread. So why don't y'all just get together and create a movie, produce a movie? If what you see is not out there, then create it. Right. You got bread.
That's what Roland was saying. He said you got the bread, you got the power to do that in the past, and it wasn't done. It was a lot of great points that he was making. There. So yeah, again, I thank you for calling in tonight and giving your opinion on that subject. So,
well, I thank you for having me on the show.
A lot of other people will be pleased with your response, and I hope you get a lot of positive feedback and they hit you up for more knowledge.
All right. Well, you take care. Peace and blessings.
Peace, love. Yes, thanks, Elle, for calling in. Again, a teacher at Northwest High School, Junior High out here in Indianapolis, Indiana. Appreciate that.